On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, another team in the National Hockey League has dipped its toe into the streaming service where they are offering their games for free to their fan base. It is not the Colorado Avalanche. Why not? What is taking so long? Let's talk about that. A new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. And make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche, on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. All right, sir, if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to get to some awards. It's kind of the Athletic heavy today. Not intentional, but the Athletic had two different articles. One was like their Longshot awards, and they look at odds for some of the guys that are maybe down the list a little bit, and who could be that surprise guy that takes some of the major awards. They did have two Avalanche players in there. We'll talk about that. They also had they're doing their prospect pipeline rankings right now, and where the Avalanche ranked on that is worse than they were last year. Last year they were 25. So there's only 32 teams in the league.
There's not that many numbers left.
But where we're going to start is, like I said in the opening, the Anaheim Ducks are doing what several teams have done since really, I think a couple teams even announced this at the end of the season last year. Most have announced it right around then and into the off season, where they are offering to their fan, I don't want to say fan base because fans are nationwide, but regional. Like if you live in the area of the city of which that team resides in, they are offering all of their games on a streaming service for free and getting money through ad revenue and stuff like that. And the Anaheim Ducks are the latest team to do that. And we talked about this. I think they're the sixth team now to do it. And I don't know if I think we might have talked about it after Vegas, who was one of the first teams to do it.
Yeah.
Threw it out there. And we were like, oh, this could catch on. And it seems like it is. And the Avalanche have yet to take the bait on this yet. I'm not saying there's not things going on behind the scenes to try to get it out there. You would have to think every team is looking into this. But with the situation the Avalanche have been in over the last century now, it seems like you would think they'd be at the forefront of this to want to get their games in the hands of their fan base who live in Denver and the surrounding areas that cannot watch them on Comcast because this is going on for so long now. What is taking so long here?
It's interesting too, watching all these dominoes fall with all these teams going to this free streaming platforms, plural.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, and you're watching this and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And it's not like the Bally channels, because Vegas wasn't a Bally channel. So that's not
Vegas came up with like their own.
Yeah, it's not a connective thread there. So it's not everybody jumping ship off Bally. And then now the Anaheim Ducks are jumping on the Victory service, which primarily started with the Dallas Stars. So there's really no connective tissue here. And it's just everybody's jumping on, honestly, being forward thinking and getting on this streaming service, when honestly, out of all 32 teams, it would have made the most sense for this to be Colorado Avalanche leading the way. And it honestly, it doesn't make sense where there shouldn't be an altitude plus right now, because I understand this is more than just hockey when it comes to altitude. This is your Nuggets coverage. This is your Rapids coverage. This is, to some extent, some Broncos looks, and you're getting some Mammoth coverage as well with altitude. There's multiple teams here, but Like the Dallas Stars, you're getting Dallas Stars. You're getting Vegas Golden Knights on these streaming services. So why can't you just I know there's different contracts and whatnot, but the Avalanche should be doing this. They haven't been it's made national news. Like if you're getting talked about in hockey circles for this Comcast debate and losing and fighting and arguing for years, and you miss a Stanley Cup, and you miss all these big moments, the heydays of the Gabe Landeskog's, the Nathan McKinnon's, the Mikko Rantanen's. Cale Makar has not appeared during this time in Denver. It's I don't understand why Altitude is holding out on this.
If it was the Comcast stuff had not been going on and everything was fine, and people could watch Avalanche games like they normally could, and this stuff is coming along, I would have a different, my mindset would be like, oh man, that'd be another just great outlet for people to watch games and watch sports, because this is where sports are going. Like this is where everything is going. This is where entertainment is going in streaming, right? So, but you add on that layer of the Comcast issue, which has been going on for so long now. And I remember, I don't know if it was Connor McGahey. He was someone associated with Altitude. One of those guys. Could have been Kiefer. I don't know. But I remember when it was kind of at the onset of all of this stuff with Comcast, and someone on Twitter asked him, like, Altitude's got to come up with a streaming service. And he responded to that person saying, like, it's more difficult than it looks, but that has been discussed. And I believe all of that. I'm sure it is very difficult technology wise, but the technology is here.
Yeah.
And I don't, and like you said, Vegas went out and did this on their own. You have Dallas and now Anaheim who have latched on with the company, and they're just handing it over to them, say, here's our stuff, just get it out to the people. So you can do this multiple ways. And now you have the teams that I have listed here: Chicago, Dallas, Florida, Seattle, Utah, Vegas, and Anaheim. That I just did a basic Google search. Those are teams that came up. I don't remember hearing Utah, but hey, if it was on this list, maybe it is. And the Seattle one is interesting. Seattle's in with
AT&T.
Amazon. They're in with Amazon. Amazon is like I think Amazon owns the arena that they're in, but they're going to be shown on Amazon. Like they have a nice deal what Seattle's got going over there. Main story is, like, you have ways to do this. There's other teams that you could go to them now and be like, hey, teach us what are we missing out on here that we that so we can get this to our fans, because you have a more of a reason than almost any other fan base to do something like this. And there's enough teams there right now where you should be the next one in line. And I know it's probably expensive, but hey, you have a $1 billion owner who just seems to be striking gold on every sport right now. That's not a problem. What's going on? Like, let's get in the game here.
Let's erase the expensive conversation, because if you want to watch high school and JV football right now, there's an app for that. You could stream all of those. You can stream them. And hey, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. If I wanted to watch my Birmingham Bulls in the SPHL, guess what? They have a streaming app. I could watch those games. So don't talk to me about expensive. If high school teams and really minor league hockey can stream their games, the Colorado Avalanche can't.
The Colorado Eagles, you can the whole AHL is doing it.
Yes.
You can do it through that. I know this is like the free version of it, but you're getting revenue through ads. So it's like I said, like everything is going this route, and the NHL as a whole, I think does a really poor job at this, because even last year I said it when the NFL, the Sunday Ticket went over to YouTube TV. I said then that is because everybody's that wants that service is moving from DirecTV now over to YouTube TV, and the NHL Network is not on YouTube TV. Why?
Yeah.
Why, or why not? I should say. Like you are not number one in the game. You're not number two in the game. You're not even number three in the game, and you're maybe on the thin ice, no pun intended, for number four in the game. You should be on all of these streaming platforms. And if you're asking for a premium for your product, stop doing that. I'm not saying you don't have a great product. You do, but it's not in the hands of a lot of people as a whole. Again, this is another year where you're not on YouTube TV, which is the number one streaming cable service, and you're not even on that.
And take it a step further, Chris. Like the NHL as a whole, everybody knows I love to take my squatty potty on and sit right on the shield of the NHL. This is one of those. The NHL should have been out above this before Vegas got to this, because now you're going to have 32 different teams on 32 different streaming services, and this should have been something the NHL said, hey, if you want access to your team, NHL Plus, and you pay us $24.99 for the year, you could watch your team and out of market games and mate like NFL does. The NBA did before the NFL with this YouTube TV package. If you wanted to watch New York Knicks games a certain number a month, you get to watch Knicks games no matter where you lived. And you could do the same with baseball. The NHL just sitting back, and I don't know what they're doing, but they've let the teams run rampant, and now you have all these different apps making money off your league because you wouldn't do anything.
Well, they just let ESPN run it.
No,
that's true. What you do. You go to ESPN Plus and do it. So they just take the hands-off approach, let somebody else deal with it, which I get to a certain extent. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying too. It's like, if you want to have control over all this, do what the NFL did. The NFL owns all that stuff. Yep. And they're like, we're going to run it and we're going to make the money. And I know the NHL is making profit off of it from the deal that they made with ESPN, but they could make so much more if they did it in-house.
Yep.
And said, this is our service called the NHL Max, or whatever the heck you want to call it. But then, yeah, I mean, getting back to the Avalanche, like, they got to do that. And they did. It's funny, like a couple hours after Anaheim announced this, a message went out on the Avalanche Twitter page of like, they have a special announcement on Friday. And this was so fresh in everybody's minds. Immediately, everybody was like, better be a streaming service, because everybody was seeing Anaheim, the announcement, and literally everybody in Avalanche Lane was like, where is this for us? Where? And then the Avalanche put out that tweet, we have a special announcement on Friday. So everyone immediately is already in that mode of like, if it's not streaming, I don't want to hear about it.
No,
I don't know if it is. Who knows what it's going to be? But it would be really nice if they were the next ones to throw their hat in this ring.
No, everybody's going to get a free coloring book for being an Avs fan for so long. Congratulations.
Yeah,
there you go.
I don't know. You got to get on the ball. And like we said, like you, if anybody has a reason to do this, it is the Avalanche and the Avalanche fans. So we'll see where it goes. If eventually they ever do, some of the guys you can be watching, the household names, the Mikko Rantanens and Kel McCarrs, Nathan McKinnons, but what about the up-and-coming prospects for the Avalanche? There's not a ton, but the ones they have, they're good, but according to The Athletic, pretty poor when it comes to the overall looking at the league as a whole. So let's talk about that coming up next. All right, first, we're going to hear from GameTime. Hockey season, obviously, right around the corner, Kyle. So it's time to start buying some tickets, people, to all your favorite NHL action. And you do that over at GameTime. They even have a brand new feature. They call it GameTime Picks. It makes getting tickets to your favorite live event even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and get seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, which I think we've all been there before, where you're trying to find the exact, well, let me go in this section and okay, I remember that one, but let me go over to this one, see if that one's a little bit better. GameTime got rid of all that stuff, and it's right there for you. They take the wheel on that, and they give you the absolute best deal. And that's one of the things that we love about the GameTime experience. Some of the other ones, the all-in pricing, you toggle the feature on. The total that you see is the total you pay. No surprise fees at checkout. They have the seats, the view from your seats, which you cannot beat. Lowest price guarantee, or they'll credit you 110% of the difference. And GameTime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime and download the GameTime app. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. So download GameTime today. What time is it?
It's game
time. All right. So, all right, now we're getting into the athletic stuff. So I love the off season with the Athletic because they do really good. They love their analytic department, and I enjoy it. And it is what it is. Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. That's analytics. But for this, it's not so much analytics. It's just maybe just rank. Well, when you're ranking them, you're doing it based on where these prospects are ranked in the grand scheme of things. And last year, the Avalanche were 25 on this list. This year, they are 31. The only team worse than them is the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's a very quick read. There's not a lot of meat on the bone there. And so let's see. They say Colorado had very little draft capital in recent years, and as a result, it's going to be a very brief article. That's literally in the articles. It's telling you it's going to be a brief one. Callum Ritchie, the Avalanche first-round pick last year, is an excellent prospect, though. So they have Ritchie ranked as their number 1, Gulyayev as their number 2, and Nabokov as the number 3. And then everybody after that is not really ranked as a number. It's just, here's a list of guys who have a chance to play. And that list is only 4 guys long. And Sean Behrens, Oscar Olausen, Sage Weinstein, and William Zellers. And that's it. So I think it's pretty telling when your top 3 ranked guys are from this draft and last year's draft. And it's not deeper than that. And I like Sean Behrens. I think he's got an opportunity to play. I thought he was going to have an opportunity to play this year. They went out and got so many defensemen. I don't think that's going to happen. But this is going to be his first year at this level. So maybe it's fine to give him, a little bit of a runway here and see what he can do. Just, let him get his feet wet. And then I think you still have plans for him as the years go on. But you don't know what you have with him right now. And your bank right now is all in what you got this year in a goalie. And then last year with Gulyayev and Ritchie.
And the thing that really bothers me now, the thing that makes me happy about this, I mean, yes, it's 31 out of 32, but Nabokov, I'm counting the days. He is my new Sampo Ranta.
Yeah.
I'm really excited every day I wake up and hear or see something new. I'm just soaking it in. But the thing that bothers me, where they're ranked, the Avalanche are ranked now 31 out of 32. You are currently, as we record, over the cap. You have to make some moves, and you have to bet on this team being worth something at the trade deadline, and you hope to keep all these pieces and the future pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's going to improve, and this might be where the Avs are going to be sitting for the next couple of years, because we have it, and we talked about this when we were doing the confidence in the front office rankings from the Athletic. This was it's not quite there, and I think it's going to be waning depending on how this season goes.
So I don't know, like when you're a team that's competing for the Stanley Cup year in and year out, you're gonna be at the bottom of this list.
Mm-hmm.
Or towards the bottom, right? So right now, the way that they're doing this is they're doing 8 teams a day for the next 4 days, right? So they're only 2 days into this, so they only have 16 teams up right now. That is a playoff, 16 teams, right? So out of the 16 teams that are on this list, only 2 of them did not make the playoffs last year. And that's Calgary at 19 and the Penguins, who are at 26. So every other team on here is a playoff team. And that's the way that this goes, is when you're a good team, you typically don't have a good prospect pool. because you pick later in the draft. You're trading them away for pieces during the season at the trade deadline to make your team better for a stronger playoff run. It's kind of expected to be where the Avalanche are right now. But the flip side of that is they haven't done the best job of really taking your prospects and getting them to produce. Like you want some of them to be able to throw their hat in the ring and give you something for the team. You haven't had that. You just haven't. And that's the scary part of this, is because how this, typically goes, teams that are good and are good for a while, when those guys that were in their prime start getting old, and, in 6-7 years, when we're talking about Nathan McKinnon, in the later stages of his career, maybe not so much Cale Makar, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when those guys that you have drafted, then when they come into play, they kickstart the team again, and you kind of turn the franchise over to those guys. And there's still time for that to happen, right? You have Nathan McKinnon is going to be in the league for another 10 years, and Makar is just getting started. So you have time to do this. But where it's been for the last handful of seasons is guys are in and out. And I think the Avalanche want to stop that to a point, but you have to start, because if you don't hit home runs with these picks and these guys do come into play and then they don't pan out, you're doing the same thing year after year and just cycling these guys out to make your team better for right now, which I get. That's what you want to do that too. It's just how the wheels turn constantly when you're a GM. It's tough to manage. So I'm not so annoyed about it. I would like to see them produce better prospects. But in the grand scheme of it, the Avalanche are still a player for the Stanley Cup, which that's what we're trying to do here.
And that, and I get that. And it's also like two ways for me. I miss the days of, boy, the Avalanche are good, but wait till Alex Newhook comes up. Like, the Avs are good, but wait till insert player name here comes up, because look at what he's doing. Like, the Avs paying attention and drafting and cultivating, no matter where they're sitting in the draft, and you're seeing that with Nabokov a little bit, that it's a fire pick and you're just waiting, like, things are going good, but wait, there's more. And when you see these picks go out, like the Tomas Tatar, didn't he get went to Seattle for a 5th round? It was nothing.
Like a fourth or fifth. Yeah.
I would like to see more picks come in that aren't just get our guy out of here and we'll take whatever you give us. I would like to see more moves that are conscious of the future in mind. A little bit more firsts and maybe some second rounds. Like, I understand we're moving these players and trying to make things happen, but this is also, hey, we know our prospect pool is not great and we need to start building that today. And I would like to see more of those moves in the future. I'm tired of seeing 3rd and 4th round. Just give us cash at this point. I'll take cash considerations, but I mean, these like 5th, 4th round picks, what are you going to do? You're not going to keep it. It's usually going to go away somewhere. So I would like to see more future in mind with moves, but I understand putting a team together this year is going to be a challenge, and you're probably not going to be going out there making those moves, but I like to see that be on the front of the Avalanche front office mind just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get that next year, because I don't think they have the first rounder next year. And after there's been like stats and research and stuff like that done after, like, even the first 12 picks of the draft, or it might be like 14 or something like that, maybe halfway through the first round. Everything after that is hands up in the air. Yep. You really don't know. And then when you get those guys, every fan base and even every team loves those guys that you get in the 3rd round and the 4th round. Like, oh, that's a steal. We got the steal of the draft. How many times do they really pan out? Right? You like to think that. And hey, maybe you do catch lightning in a bottle. Happens all the time. But of the hundreds of players that are picked in those rounds year after year, you might get one every other year that just stands out and be like, wow, everybody passed him over for 4 rounds. That's crazy. So it doesn't happen a lot. And that's what the Avalanche have in draft picks right now for next year. I don't have Puckpedia in front of me, but And I don't think they have a first rounder. And so really after that, it's, hey, let you're still going to get guys, and that's where the like getting these guys going and really like producing guys, that comes on like the coaching staff and really being able to find guys that are late round gems, which is tough to do. It's tough to do. So this is not going to improve itself next year. After that, maybe, but it's no guarantee you're going to have the first round pick after next year, because if a deal comes along that somebody wants another first rounder and it makes you better to go make another cup run, you're going to do that, because that's the window that everybody was talking about. You're in that right now. So why would you not do that? So it's a tough game that the Avalanche are playing, and they've lost it for the past couple years. But I think Richie gives them, some excitement. Like, you want the Richie excitement for 3, 4, or 5 guys.
Yeah.
And you don't have that. You have it for him. Gulyayev is maybe it's a couple of years away, and Nabokov maybe is a year away. So with those 3 guys, you should be getting all 3 of them within the next, well, you could be getting Richie this year. And you want that. And you just hope that he can produce for you.
And the last point I'll make on this is the front office also has the same evaluation of their prospect pool in mind, because you can look at all the moves they made for like 1 year, 1 million, 1.2 million. They know they can't fill that with what they currently have to make an NHL roster. So they're just piecing together what they can to put an NHL roster on ice, because they don't have that confidence in their prospect pool yet. And they don't have that guy beating down the door to make this Colorado Avalanche squad. So they're putting together as many 1 year, $1 million forwards as they possibly can.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. For the last bit here, sticking with the Athletic, they did a article on the awards for the NHL and looking at the odds for some of the guys and kind of going down the list and saying, hey, this guy, he's got maybe longer odds, but possibility that he could do it. Could Richie be a guy? I mean, if he makes the team, could he be a guy that just maybe comes out of nowhere and it might be tough because he's going to be a 4th liner.
Yeah.
He's not really going to crack that. The Calder is for a guy that's, Bedard on the top line type of guy. So I don't really think the Avalanche have anybody in here that could really make a serious run for that.
And like you mentioned, the top 14 picks of last year's draft are going to be screaming for that award. If anybody squeaks in for the Avalanche, they're not going to be chasing down that award.
Yeah.
I don't foresee.
The 3 guys doing this over at the Athletic, they each picked 1 guy, and for the Vezina Trophy, one of them did pick Alexander Georgiev.
Did he get tested for rabies?
Well, they're not saying like they're going to win it. They're just saying, hey, if you were going to bet, and you wanted to, take a long shot, like you're betting horses, and maybe make some money, that pick a guy nobody else picked up on. Who are you going to go with? One of them, who I think it was Sean Gentile who did it. Sean Gentile picked Georgiev. He said Skinner's the no-brainer choice here. For the sake of variety, though, I'm going to leave some space for the possibility that Alexander Georgiev, 75-1, blacks out for the first few months and finishes with 45 wins or so for the Avalanche. He wasn't any good last season, but a .919 and 22-23 counts for something. So there you go. So he's looking back 2 years ago, his first year with the Avs, where he did okay. Can he recapture that? If he can, maybe he's in the mix for a Vezina award.
No, I can't even spin that.
Zero confidence in it.
I don't like, we're talking Vezina here, and we're talking like hot runs and put it together and can keep it together. And you have Eustace knocking on the door right behind you. The pressure's there. And again, look at what's in front of you. You don't even know what your team looks like really right now. And that's going to be in flux up and down. You don't know about the Gabe and Nuke thing and what your defense looks like. You still got to get under cap. This team, I don't know if it can hold a Vezina winner this year. And I don't think it's Georgiev.
it's just, I mean, that award alone, that's a mountain to climb with the guys who are at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Right. That's tough. Can Georgiev have a good season? Definitely. He definitely can. Can he have a season where he's jumping over guys like Shesterkin and Hellebuck? That's tough to ask. And that's just flat out. Yeah, that's why he's lower on the list. But the other one that they have here for the Rocket Richard Trophy, a leading goal scorer in the league, Sean McIndoe, picked Mikko Rantanen.
You know what?
Yeah, he says,
I love this.
Yeah, he says, let's see, I'll just read his blurb. This is a tough one since it really feels like only 5 or 6 guys have a realistic shot. And the odds makers know that. Still, nobody saw Zach Hyman or Sam Reinhart breakouts coming last year. And while they didn't win, they were on Austin Matthews' injury or a slump away from contending. I think I'm going to play it relatively safe here and go with Mikko Rantanen, who should get more respect than his 30-1 odds imply.
Oh, yeah, easily. There was a portion, I think it was the first month or two, where he was up there dancing around and, hey, this could be a possibility if he continues this. Contract year.
There you go. That is it. That how much does that play a role if that deal is not signed? And Mikko has flirted with this before, not at the end of the season. He's gotten off to really good starts and will kind of sustain it for a little while, but he'll hit a funk where he lets other guys catch up to him and pass him, and then he'll get going again. But he doesn't have that, like, when he comes out of it, he doesn't have that run where he has like 4-point games, like 3 out of 5 games or something like that. He's just consistent. But you're right, man, that if that contract is not signed, I might take those odds.
I might as well.
I might take those odds. So we'll see. So those are the 2 ones that they had on there as far as long shots go. So we'll see. I think I'm with you. Vezina, I don't know. Mikko, possibility.
You would have better odds with Martin Brodeur in one, and the other, I might put some money on.
All right. We'll have to watch it. So, all right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. So thank you so much for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. We'll be back on Friday to wrap up the week. And is that September yet? No, September is Sunday.
Yeah.
And then
I'm still awake.
Yeah.
September hasn't ended.
Hey, no. But when it does, it's hockey, baby. All right. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys on Friday.